Welcome to Soul Sparks, where wisdom meets wonder and every conversation becomes a mirror to the soul. I'm Yusuf, and today we are joined by the illuminous Hans Wilhelm, a mystic, author, illustrator, and visionary whose timeless, whose timeless works have touched millions worldwide. Together, we'll explore the great cosmic classroom we call Earth, why we are here, what we are meant to learn, and how this very lifetime might be our final graduation from the cycle of reincarnation. Hans Willem, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Yusuf. I'm delighted to be here on your show.
Pleasure is all ours. Hans, you describe Earth as a school for the soul. Where are we truly, why, what are we truly here to learn in this grand classroom of life?
Well, I think the main reason everybody comes here for different reasons. Where before we incarnate, we usually have got an idea why we come. Some come here to just try out physicality, how it feels to be in this physical body. Others come here to go out and help. Others learn different tasks like love and so on. But I think the main thing is for us to undo our karma and to learn to love it, making basically to learn to love again, because love is our true essence. Love is who we are in our essence. And unfortunately, over time and many incarnations, we have totally forgotten who we are.
Wow. So, so if love is the ultimate lesson that we have to learn, why does the curriculum or the life often begin with suffering and confusion?
Well, we will have to discover that all the suffering and all the confusion we have created ourselves. Nobody does it to us. It is basically karma coming back to us. Whenever we did something or thought something or said something that is unloving, which is meaning against our true nature, then that very negative energy will eventually come back to us. And that can
Mm.
be in a form of blow of fate, it can be pain, suffering, whatever it is, so that we experience on ourselves what it means to send, to be not ourselves, which means send out something that is not lovingly, not to be authentic. We have to be authentic, and authentic is being loving. And every time we are not loving, we are basically sowing something which will eventually come back to us. That is a law of karma, and everybody is subject to that, whether you're rich or whether you're poor. We all learn this way. Karma is not punishment. Karma is merely a tool to help us to discover who we truly are and where we have still not worked according to our true essence, where we have really basically been not ourselves, love.
Wow, that's a very different take because what my understanding of karma is, it's more like a punishment. But basically, what you just said is karma is more like education.
Precisely. It's another word would be consequences. Whatever we do, consequences come back to us. It can't be punishment unless you believe in a bad God and a God who is punishing, or some higher energy who is punishing
Mm.
us. I do not believe that God is that kind of character or person or whatever entity. I believe God is love, just like you and I are. In our essence, we are love, and so is God love. And love would never punish. But God allows us to use our free will. This is our
Mm.
birthright. And with our free will, we can either use love or we can use non-loving action or words and deeds. So it's always
Mm.
our own personal choice. And whenever we act against our true essence, which is love, then that karma will come back to us as a teaching tool, a gentle teaching tool to wake up from our mistakes. I do have a very lovely video on liveexplained.com how karma works. Anybody who is interested and goes to my website, onto my YouTube channel, can see the short video how karma works, because I visually show how all the dots connect and how all the karma comes back from the repository planets where they are stored and eventually comes back to us in this or in future lifetimes.
Wow, our listeners will surely be going to your channel and learning more about karma your way.
Yeah.
But I question what helps us shift from resistance to acceptance in those hardest moments.
Well, there are many tools which we can do. First of all, I could comes to mind is remembering who I am. I
Mm.
am love in its essence. I am never, ever a victim, which is very important to understand. When we understand the law of karma, then we understand only that comes can back to us what we have once sown or sent out into the universe. So we are never a victim. Even if another person comes and steals from us, robs from us, most likely we have done something similar in a previous lifetime or earlier in our lifetime. So whatever comes back to us, which we may call negative, painful, suffering, is something
Mm.
that we have created. And suffering is also a form of confusion. As you mentioned, confusion. Our mind is confused. We have really forgotten who we are. And when we step back from our suffering and see that as it's only a game of our mind, of our brain, who just interprets situation very negatively, we make come to the point, wake up and understand that everything in life has also a positive side. So when we look at any situations that we are facing right now and look for the positive side, or maybe three different positive aspects, we are already gaining strength again. For instance, if I suddenly get fired from my job, I lose my job, this is traumatic and awful, but do I know whether it's really bad? Could it be that maybe another better job is waiting for me? Could it be maybe that I have to move to another country, a city, because I meet there something else, someone, my life partner? Could it, whatever it is, so it could be so much potentiality comes out
Mm.
of this one event. So when we look or the positive in every situation, we immediately look for the divinity in every situation. Everything can only exist because it does have the divine core, the positive. We look for the positive and then we connect with the positive, and out of this, we gain strength to overcome the negativity. And I think with anything, even with a very severe illness, for instance, I take this example, when we are very sick, surely it's very dreadful and very painful. But when we understand that an illness is nothing else but an outflowing of karma, meaning we are relieved, we are freeing ourselves from a burden, from a soul burden, then there is something very positive in an illness. Doesn't mean we can't also take drugs and help from the medical side, but fully understand that the illness is not some kind of punishment or bad luck. It is only something flowing out of our soul into our body and out of our body, which means our karma is now
Mm.
releasing itself. It's basically a wonderful kind of experience if we see it from that angle. And we can look at every kind of misfortune, we may call it, and see the
Mm.
fortunate situation in every misfortune.
Wow. That's really empowering to think karma not as a fate, but as feedback from the universe guiding
Yeah,
our evolution.
yeah, definitely.
Mm. In your video, The Amazing Earth School, you talk about this possibly being our last incarnation. What does that mean for the soul?
Well, we hope it's our last incarnation because the planet Earth is slowly rising into a higher frequency. That means that future souls of low vibration will no longer be able to incarnate here on planet Earth. So it is helpful for us to understand that this hopefully could be our last incarnation. But it's all up to us. If we get caught up in the worldly things like wealth, power, fame, etc., or anything which the world attractions offers us, when we get caught up in it, we will of course not let go of planet Earth. Our goal is to let go of the worldliness of life, of to become more free of all the attraction the world has in any ways. So it's up to us of how to do this, and we basically undoing our karma whenever we feel there is a something here that is not right. I feel a negative emotion. It's usually a sign that there is something which needs to be cleared up. And in most cases, It's a form of forgiveness, forgiving someone else, asking for forgiveness, and also forgiving ourselves. Because karma can only be eliminated two ways. Either we expiate it, which means we feel it like an illness, or through forgiveness. If we forgive the person or the person forgives us for what we have done, that is the other way how karma can be eliminated. So it behooves us here on planet Earth, the few days we still have left. We have got only an average of, what is it, 28,000 days here on Earth. That's an average, which isn't much, but everybody has got only a limited lifespan still. So it behooves us to really be very careful and clear up as much karma as we can, because by doing so, we increase our vibration and then hopefully will be later attracted to the highest vibration, which is love, because everything is nothing but energy and vibration. What we think is solid matter is not solid matter. It is an illusion. It is all energy. And we have a certain energy level vibration. And that even energy level vibration at the moment is pretty low because of our karma. And once we undo our karma, we become higher on vibration and hopefully will be then attracted, because the law of like attracts like, to the higher vibration again. So basically, that's in a nutshell that we work on this one. In my various videos on lifeexplained.com or on my channel, you can see how I draw it, how the vibration, how the attraction is there, which brings us back home again from where we came, because we were originally totally pure divine spirit beings. But because of our selfishness, we have lost ourselves in this material universe and here on planet Earth. And for most people, it is a very, very difficult lesson at school, the Earth School here, as you mentioned. It is very difficult, very challenging. But so is every good school, every good college, because it's the challenges which make us grow.
Yes, you are very right. You've illustrated spiritual laws so beautifully that even complex truths become very clear. Which universal law do you believe humanity most needs to understand right now?
I would think I would always begin, well, there is of course a love and to learn to love again, but we can, if we start from the divine laws, we can start at the first level, which is order. To bring order into our life means so much. What does it mean to bring order into our life? First of all, look at our room where I'm living. Is it orderly? I don't mean extreme, but is it relatively ordered? How is my desk? How is my living room? How is everything in there? Then go outside. How is my clothing? Am I orderly, careful, and observant that I'm not running around like a beggar or something unkept? How do I appear to myself? And then it follows, of course, also with my thinking, with what I'm saying, in my using order. Also, what I consume. Do I have the right food I'm consuming? And also the right television shows, whatever I watch on videos and so on, TikTok, etc. Am I careful what I take into my body? And am I careful to what I come out of my body? Basically, to bring order into our own existence. It's it sounds so easy, but when we look around, there's a lot of areas, I think, where most of us still become more observant, more clearer, because you cannot build a house on a fundament which is not orderly, which is not structured. So on that order, that's why the lowest level, firstly, is order, and then comes divine will and wisdom and so on, all the other various laws. But we have to make the foundation solid. And a solid foundation is to have as much possible order in our life, with our family. Are we living in harmony with all our family members, friends, and colleagues at work? That is a form of order. Where are the areas where my life is not in order? Maybe the first question to ask, where is the area and what can I do right now to make this better, to heal this, to improve it and bring more order into our life? I would say that's a good, great basis to start off.
Wow. So, what I could understand is that we should start focusing on our foundation. And for that foundation to be solid, we have to start looking for order. And to find that order, we must be aware of our surroundings and the people surrounding us.
Yeah, and also about myself, what I consume, what and also what I'm saying, and also my thinking. Is my thinking in order? Am I continuously thinking negative thoughts? That's not orderful. Am I thinking continuously hateful, resentful thoughts? All these things, our thinking creates our universe around us and our beliefs. So it is very helpful to look at what am I thinking throughout the day? Am I depressed? Am I relatively happy? Am I relaxed? These are all things where we do have a lot of influence, which we can make changes because I think many of us are getting into a rut, into a system, and we think, oh, this is how my life is. No, we can change our life at any moment we want to. It may not always be easy and right away, the change. But once we understand that a certain kind of thinking pattern, speaking pattern, behavior pattern is not orderly, is not helpful on my path, then we can make changes and we will feel much better. Here from experience myself, I have made a few little changes as well in my life, which I never knew I needed. But yes, I have to make sure that certain repeated thought patterns do not appear. And whenever they do appear, I give them over to Christ and let Him say, change it from
Mm.
negative energy into positive energy.
Your arguments and your beliefs reminds me that there are no mistakes, but only learning. How can we hold to that fate when life kicks us out or makes us feel chaotic?
Well, you say that there are no mistakes. Everything is here to help us. Nothing happens to us, but everything happens for us. So these negative instances which we face in our life are there to help us. These are all, as I said, karmic situations which are coming back to us, which we once have given into the causal computer, which is in the repository planets of the material and semi-material universe. And there the karma is stored for a while until it's coming back to us when the situation's right. But all the karma that comes back to us in all these difficult situations, illness, loss of job, loss of health, whatever it is carefully calibrated to my present situation. Karma is we never get more than we can't handle. That's one thing. The other thing is before the whole blow of fate takes place, we usually get warning signals. If I give you the example of, for instance, if I start smoking regularly and then suddenly I start coughing, yeah, that's the message. It says, stop smoking because the next step could be lung cancer. So we are always getting these little symptoms, these little signs who gently tell us, stop now, forgive now, let it be now, and change right now. Whenever we have got these little kind of signals that we get. So all these difficult situations we are in are totally self-created. Even if they look that our neighbor, our parents, our family does it to us. But we have it self-created so that we learn and can get out of it. And the other thing which is, I think it's very, very important, that we never are ever alone in coping with these situations. We have all divinity on our side. The kingdom of heaven is in us. God is in us. The Christ is in us. And we have got our guardian spirit as well by our side. We have a tremendously power behind us to go through the difficult situation when we trust and rely on these energies which are here to serve us. Because the highest form of love is service. And when we understand that clearly, that the highest angelic beings, God, you Christ, whatever you may call them, are not just loving, but serving. The highest form is serving. They want to serve us. They want to help us. So it's never wrong for us to ask for their help and ask for their assistance in any kind of situation, because that's what they want to do. That is their calling. That is their true nature. And eventually you and I will have the same kind of attitude as well, that we will also love and serve. That will be our main interest in existence when we are on a higher spiritual level.
Wow. You know, it's very empowering, especially in times like this when AI is becoming so prominent. People are losing that human connection. And in that moment, when you come out and say, we are not alone, God is with us, Christ is with us, that is itself very powering.
You're absolutely right. Yes, Joseph. We forget that so easily. Yeah. And then When we are alone, the other thing which often sets in, which is it's sort of from the demonic area, it's our self-pity. Suddenly we start sorry for ourselves, and that makes it very difficult. To get out of self-pity is a very difficult thing. So let's catch ourselves before we go there. We are never alone, which is quite wonderful. And we can use this awareness in a positive way as well by being continuously, whenever we remember something, grateful. I'm grateful that I have an opportunity now to speak with you in a different continent now. It's just marvelous. I'm grateful for my computer. It wouldn't work without that. I'm grateful I'm sitting here. I do have enough food to eat today. I have a shelter and I have some clothes on my body. I mean, I am blessed. There are many people who don't have any of this. So I'm deeply grateful. If this gratefulness, which we from moment to moment express to divinity, that is something which keeps us out of all negative thinking. It keeps us out of self-pityness. When we realize how blessed we are, even in the most isolated, lonely situation, there is always a lot of stuff we can be grateful for. Friends, families, upbringings, etc. Even if they're distant, there's so much to be grateful for. Focus on the gratefulness. Say thank you to the energy, and out of this comes strength, tremendous strength. And we can suddenly feel we are not alone.
Wow. Hans, is there any way our listeners can connect with you? Maybe your Instagram or LinkedIn?
The best way is always to go to my website, lifeexplained.com. There's a contact page. They can write to me. I'm happy to answer that. I'm not doing I do have a Facebook page as well. You can also try there, but better to do it there. And then, of course, there is my YouTube channel. You just punch in my name, Hans Wilhelm, Hans, and the next Wilhelm, Wilhelm. And there you will find my YouTube channel where all my short videos are. All these videos are free. There's nothing to join. I have no interest to convince anybody. I'm merely showing my understanding of the spiritual path, which I've studied for the last 60 years, and which largely comes from a woman in Germany who died last year. Her name is Gabriele, and she has published hundreds of books and many revelations from the divine reality. And comparing her teachings with all the other teachings which I have done in the past, this is very superior to me, and it's very special. And that's why it prompted me to make these short videos and the response. And I must say, it's interesting that we are the largest groups of my subscribers outside of America are in India. And this is not Hindu teaching or Buddhist teaching. This is basically universal teaching. I think that's where we all can connect.
Yes, we can. And I highly recommend Hans Wilhelm channel to every of our listeners. Hans, is there any last message that you want to leave us with?
I come back to what I just said about gratefulness. Try out the gratefulness. When you don't listen, when you sit, switch off this podcast. Try to sit there and just look around your room where you sit and think about all the things, many things you can feel grateful for, and feel this gratefulness flooding into your body. And then you have a very close, a relatively closer connection to divinity. And when you have the closer to divinity, you can do anything in your life because divinity is always on your side. And everything that happens to us is not happening to us, it's always happening for us because everything is medicine to bring us home.
As our conversation with Hans Wilhelm comes to a close, we are reminded that life is not random. It's a radiant design. Every joy, every loss, every challenge is a lesson in love, preparing us for a return to the source we never truly left. So tonight, breathe deeply, look up, gratitude, and remember you are not just a student of earth, you are a spark of eternity, learning to shine consciously once again. This was your host, Yusuf, and thank you so much for joining.